Hello everyone. Welcome to the official YouTube channel of askIITians. And today I am here with the strategy and how to solve the question in NEET for chemistry. And I'm a chemistry teacher in askIITians, so I'd be telling you all the details and how to attempt all the question in NEET. So, guys, as you know that when you are going for a national level exam like this kind of importance, you do have to have a strategy for it. So today I'll be discussing about the strategy and the expected questions that can come in NEET this time, right? So let's start with this. So guys, you have NEET from end this Monday, right? So definitely right now you guys do have your own strategy, but today as well, I'm going to share my kind of strategy. And after watching this, if you feel like that is important, then definitely you can follow my way. Otherwise, you can definitely follow your strategy, your own strategy, right? So without wasting any more time, we'd be skipping right into the point, right? Now, whenever I'll be writing something, I have another device on my left hand side. So whenever I'll be writing something, I'll be looking at that side, right? So the first thing is you do understand that in NEET, you have 4 sections, right? One is the physics, then we have the chemistry, then we have the bio, and the bio section is divided into 2 parts, which is botany, and we have zoology, right? These are the 4 sections that we have, isn't it? Now, in this 4 sections, definitely, guys, you do know that there is section A and section B. It is divided into 2 halves, right? From section A, you'd be getting 35 marks. From section B, you'd be getting 15 questions. What I mean to say, number of questions. And from this 15 question, you have to solve only 10 questions from there, right? So now, for chemistry as well, you'd be having section A and B. This as well, the section A and B. This as well as section A and B, right? So this is the entire thing that you have. Ten questions, I mean, you can solve. I'm going to describe that part, okay? So this is how it's divided for NEET, right? Now you see, over here, if I have to have a strategy, now let me tell you a small story that just happened recently. Recently, you know that like all the JEE students, they just came out from their first attempt, and most of them were lacking this strategy, and this is because of why they weren't able to get that score they wanted at that time. So guys, if you start with the subject where you have to solve more and more questions, definitely that would be taking more time, and you need to save time for those type of subjects. Like for an example, physics out here. So what I feel like is you need to start with either of chemistry or bio. So if you start with chemistry and bio, what happens is you'd be able to, like in these 2 subjects, you like mainly in bio, if you start with bio, what would happen is in this subject, if you know an answer, you'd be able to take it right away. So let's say what you have to do is your target would be completing the bio section, this entire section, by max to max by 1 hour. By 1 hour, you have to complete this bio section, right? So over here in bio, you don't know that. If you know an answer, you'll be just taking it right away. So there'd be no problem with that. So if you complete this in 1 hour, that would be your target at the first place. So when you have the booklet in your hand, you start with bio, or you can start with chemistry as well. Okay, in both of the cases, you'd be getting these type of questions, the memorizing kind of questions, and and if you see the questions, like those are not memorizing type, but they are easy questions. Like let's say suddenly you got a question like something from the thermodynamics. So delta H G equals to delta H minus T delta F. Something like this. Simple question. If they say if the delta S is positive and if the delta H is positive, then which of the following criterias, which of the following option is going to make it, which one is going to make it spontaneous? So they will be giving you options like in option A, you'd be having when the delta H is greater than T delta S. These type of questions. We are expecting that this type of question would be there this time indeed. Okay, from the thermodynamics, so just go through the delta H and T delta S thing, this equation out there. And we are expecting that this type of question would be there from thermodynamics. So if you see this question won't be taking much time for you, isn't it? So I'll be talking about these questions a bit after the strategy is over, the strategy part is over. Then I'll be telling you about that. So this type of question, if they come, what you have to do is you can solve these questions right away, because these questions are not going to take your time, right? Not much time. So it would be solved within 30 seconds, max 1 minute if you make any mistakes in there in between. If you don't, it would be done in 30 seconds. So these type of questions you may solve from chemistry in the starting, in the beginning. But for bio, I would suggest you to start with bio. Precise. Now, this should be your target, to complete bio within 1 hour. Now, why am I asking you to do that? Because definitely from the very beginning, you'll be having a lot of pressure in your head. And let me tell you this. For the JEE students, they had 2 attempts. So as a result, they learned something from the first attempt, and that is what they are gonna put it in the second attempt, and they're not gonna make the similar mistakes in there. But you guys have only one opportunity, right? So that's why you need to make sure that you have your strategy already in your head. And guys, now let me tell you this. This is something I tell you over in the class as well, and I have told you a lot of times over there. And this is again, I'm telling you the same thing. Although we feel like the strategy is a secondary thing, but let me tell you, strategy is primary. If you are getting near about 600 and 620 in your mock test, let me tell you, if your strategy is not right, your marks would be coming straight down to 500 and 520 or 530. Because see, what happens is at that time, you would be in immense pressure. Right now, when we are having this session right now, that right now as well, you are under immense tension. And this is supposed to happen because you have prepared for this exam. And whenever we are preparing for something, we always try to give our best. And that is what keeps us nervous. And because of these kind of situations, what happens is we make silly mistakes. And we have to avoid doing that. So to avoid doing that, this strategy is going to help you. Now, when you're binding yourself within the first 1 hour of the exam, then what would happen is, if by any chance, if you exceed this time, you would get the notification right away. So now I am taking more time. You need to speed up. You need to do fast. You have to go faster. Okay, this should be a first target. Then coming to the next target is definitely go for chemistry. Now, this 45 question, guys, we need to be very, very sure that we are completing them within max to max 1 hour. I would suggest you not to take 1 hour if you can. See, the point is, when you're solving them in 1 hour and 1 hour like this, you'd be having that rest of the time you have to give it to physics. Now, try to take it completed by 45 minutes. Try to complete it within 45 minutes. See, if you know bio, let me tell you, although it seems like it's a very difficult task to do, but let me tell you, if you know the answers of bio, then it won't take 1 hour. Let me tell you this. Because it's all memory based, and there are some questions that you have to think a bit. For that, the time would extend a bit, but you can make sure that this is happening in 1 hour. And the chemistry as well, this is in 1 hour. Now, the rest of the time you have to give it to physics, because you do know that in physics, you have to solve the question. You have to work them out, isn't it? So that's why you have to do it in this way. Now, how to find your time properly, how to bind yourself within a time. So guys, what happens is, what people do is they start turning the pages and they say, this is the bio section. So in our coaching, they told us that we need to start with bio section. So let's start with the bio section. And then what happened is, the first question is very difficult. Okay, so let's say what he did is just got stuck in there. Okay, now that is going to take your time. Although it is bio, still you have to think about that, right? It's not like every questions would be just simply solved, isn't it, guys? So when you get your booklet, although I have told you that this should be your strategy, although you have a strategy in your mind, let me tell you, we have given this type of exams, so we do know what happens in the end. So for that, I'm telling you, don't repeat the mistakes that others have done. Whenever you are turning the pages around, it's not like don't do it blindly. You just go through the questions quickly, whether it is maths, whether it's physics, whether it's chemistry, whether it's bio. Go through the questions quickly, because there are some questions in a booklet, in an exam, you would be getting some questions which would be the easiest questions out there. And these questions, you just need 2 to 3 seconds to pick them up. Let's give you an example of it, right? In chemistry, if you get this type of question, physics option is, then you have 4 options. 1, endothermic. Then you have option B, exothermic. Option C, option D, something like that. If this type of question comes, see, physics option, we are talking about physics option. This is a kind of adsorption process. In every adsorption process, guys, see, you don't have to think about these questions. Try to understand what's happening. In adsorption process, whether it is physics option or chemistry option, there is definitely some kind of attraction force getting generated, right? In physics option, the attraction force which is getting generated, that is called van der Waals. If I talk about chemistry option, then the force which is, then the bond, then the attraction which is getting generated, that's a chemical bond. That's a chemical bond. Okay, whenever I'd be writing something, I'd be looking at that side, right? So that would be a chemical bond. Whatever it is, it's a force of attraction. Whenever a force of attraction is formed, it's always exothermic. Bond formation is always exothermic, and bond is nothing but a force of attraction. So from surface chemistry, we are expecting, from adsorption part, we are expecting a question from there. Physics option, chemistry option, and the part from there, whether the delta S is positive or not, whether the delta S is negative or not. This part, I just want you guys to go through that part. We are expecting one question to come from there as well. And from the surface chemistry, if you say, the major portion, the major part would be covered by the colloid and their examples and all those things, right? But let me tell you, the physics option and the chemistry option part, the adsorption part is very, very important. You just go through that, and the thermodynamic aspect of the adsorption processes, and definitely go through that. Isotherms, those isotherms, we're expecting questions from there. And from the surface chemistry, if you go to the ending of surface chemistry, okay, in there you'd be able to see all the physics option and chemistry option. There are questions like this, there are topics like this. Why is chemistry option spontaneous? These type of questions would be there. Like, not question, the statements, the concepts would be there. Like in chemistry option, why is it spontaneous? So actually the delta H is negative over here, and the delta S is also, delta S over here is positive. Okay, in chemistry option, guys, the delta S becomes positive. Why is that? Let's say there is hydrogen gas. After chemistry option, it becomes 2 hydrogen atoms, right? So let's say we start with a hydrogen in a surface. So in there, if we have hydrogen gases, what would happen is this hydrogen gases would be getting adsorbed in there, right? And when they're getting adsorbed, they are not physisorb, they are chemisorb, means they're making bonds in between, right? So the hydrogens, they are becoming hydrogen atoms. So that's why it's the entropy, the delta S is going to be product minus reactant, 2 minus 1, which is going to be 1. So it is a positive value. Okay, so it's a positive value. So what happens is, this type of processes, these type of questions would be there, right, guys? Now the entropical aspect and everything, right? Now just a second. Now, so guys, the point is about the physics option and chemistry option. These type of questions, you just go through them once, then you'll be able to grab them. Now, once you're done with the easy questions, then you go to the moderate and then go to the difficult question. The moment you see that question is difficult, although there are some trap questions over there, you'll be able to see. Whenever you see those questions, it feels like, let me tell you, this is the exact feeling you'd be getting in that scenario. Whenever you see that there is a trapped question, means the question would feel, you'd be able to feel, looking at the question is doable. But the moment you start doing it, you get stuck. And at that exact moment, some part of your mind would say that, don't look this question, I think you got it. You are very close. And it would just take 1 more minute to complete this. This type of thought would be there in your mind. And that happens, guys. We have been in this situation. We do know that in physics, in bio specifically, you'd be having this kind of scenario. Like you'd be getting something, you'd feel like I have read it somewhere, but right now I cannot remember it. And I just need to think about it a bit. These the kind of situation would be there. Don't get stuck. Those are the questions I'm talking about right now. They're the trap questions. They are meant to be in that way. If you just get stuck there, no, you would lose time, and God knows whether you'd be able to solve it or not. You'd be losing your marks as well. Let me tell you how. Because see, guys, this is something you have to incorporate in your mind, that each and every question is holding plus 4 marks. So if you are solving the question which you are stuck with in 2 minutes, you are not going to get more marks. You're going to get 4 marks only. And by solving that, you are losing the chance to solve 2 questions or 3 questions. Those are easy. Those are in the end of the paper, but you couldn't even see them because you are stuck in here. So guys, don't do this mistake. To solve 4 marks, don't lose your 8 to 12 marks. So the moment you're stuck, need to move on. We need to move on. And the most important part is for these type of competitive exams is, guys, rather than knowing the questions you need to solve, you have to understand the question you need to leave. So if you know the question, take it right away, move on. If you see the question is like the trap question, just give it a star marks and move on, because you would be coming back. And just maintain this, just remember this. Don't waste your time in those type of questions, because you would be trapped. And if you get trapped, you would be missing those 4 to 5 questions in the end. And mark my word, this would happen with 50% of the students, those who doesn't have this idea, because you are going there for the first time. And you have gone through this type of exams, like 4 to 5 exams we have already given. All the faculties, they have given it. So that's why we do know that what type of things are going to happen with us. So that's the point I'm trying to make right now. Understood, guys? So don't get into those type of questions, and you have to move on. That is the point, right? So the first point is, start with the easy question. This is the first preference. Start with the easy question. Now, you need to start with the easy question first. Now, once you're done with the easy questions, then you go to the difficult questions one by one, the moderate question, and then to the difficult questions. Okay, don't start with the difficult question at all. They would take out all your confidence and all your times as well. So the time management would be failed at that time. So don't do that mistake. And guys, I think you do remember that you have to fill the OMR sheet as well. Now, about the OMR sheet, you can have 2 types of strategies. You can just solve a question and just put the marking in the OMR sheet right away. But I would suggest you not to do this, because sometimes what happens is, again, this also happened with me. Okay, I am the live example of it. This happened with me. What happened is, I just filled it right away. And in the end, I realized that I have made a mistake. Now I cannot change it anymore. So guys, this is the things. Either you learn from others or you learn from your own mistakes. And this time, if you do the mistake, it would be very, very costly to you. So don't do this mistake. What I want you to do is, right now, listen to me. Don't take this strategy, solving the OMR sheet right away. That would be a big mistake for you. So mark them up, and with a pencil or something like that, in the end, fill them up. Okay, take at least near about 15 minutes to fill all the OMR sheets out. Guys, there are a lot of questions that you have to fill it with. So 15 minutes, you need it at least. Okay, again, bind yourself with time. Otherwise, what would happen? You would solve all the questions, but in the end, what would happen is you would not get time to fill the boxes. So that would be also a big blow for you. So don't do these type of kind of mistakes. So you should have a strategy how you need to proceed, what chapter, what subject, not a chapter, what subject you should start with. Easy question first, whatever the subject is, whatever the topic is. Start with the easier one, then go to the moderate, then go to the difficult ones. Segregate them right away in the beginning. Okay, so overall, this would be our target. And guys, one more thing, always remember, part B is always going to be more difficult than part A in all the subjects. So always go to the part A first. There are people who start with part B. Don't just overcomplicate things. You don't need to break it down that much. You start with the easy question, then the subject, then the moderate, and then the difficult, right? So first turn the papers out. Whatever subject is, whatever the topic is, if the question is easy, you feel like you can solve it right away, solve it right away. Okay, whatever the subject is. Then you start with bio. Go to bio. Once you're done with the entire paper, now you have an entire idea what type of paper is this, how many questions are difficult, how many questions are easy. You have an entire idea about that. So now you go to bio. Now you solve the bio ones. Or you go to chemistry because already you have seen the paper, you have an idea which portion you feel like you can solve more questions. You start with that always. And then go to the other one. Physics, keep it for the last and save as much as time as you can from bio and chemistry, guys. Don't put more time in there. You need to save time from them. Understood? So these are the basic strategy you should have. Now, definitely, if you have your own strategy, you go with that. But these are the small things. If you feel like you can incorporate in your strategy, then go for it. Because, guys, you're going to get only one opportunity. You have worked hard for this entire year. So make that count. And I do know that whatever I say at that time, you would be there. So you would be the one to take the decision. So, guys, whatever you take it wisely. And make sure that you have your strategy ready. It's not always about the preparation. Sometimes with the proper strategy, we can crack exams like this, right? So this was the entire strategy portion. Okay, now I would go with the chapter wise analysis. Okay, so which all chapters you need to focus in these last 2 days? So the first thing that you need to focus on is from class 11th, I'm saying. Okay, from class 11th chemistry. So here you need to, the most weighted chapter is definitely the JOC, the organic chemistry, GOC and hydrocarbon. Okay, now what are you supposed to do right now? Okay, so if you are an askIITian student, you already have every short note given already in your account, right? You can go to your self-study packages. Over there, you have the mind maps and the short notes is also given to you. So you are going to have that advantage. Right now, no need to learn from everything from the scratch. Just go to the short notes and go through them. Just the short notes, guys. This is not the time to go through all the structures, those are there. All the concepts, those are there. If you feel like you have left out some concepts, let it be. Okay, let it be. Because from that concept, much like if you talk about that concept, let's say you feel like from hydrocarbon, there are some concepts I am not ready with. From chemical, from this GOC, there are some concepts I'm not ready with. Okay, now let's try to analyze this. From this concept, let's say there will be only one question. And from this question, concept would be as well one question. Now, if you try to solve this part, if you try to go through this part, and if your concept building is not that much, because you'll be going on your own, right? So if you have any misconception over here, you understand you are going to have -5 right away in the exam. So right now, it's not the time to learn new things. Stop doing that if you're doing it. Leave them behind. It's not 100% sure you're going to get questions from there, right? And if you are not learning it properly, then you would be getting negative marking for that. So it would not be a wise decision. Always go for quality over quantity. Don't always try to go through everything. Focus on the quality. Whatever you do, you should get 100% marks out of it. Don't score anything negative from there. That should be your target. So go to GOC and hydrocarbon. In GOC and hydrocarbon, guys, I have to say that there is nothing you can leave behind. Everything is important from them. So you need to go through the entire chapter, but not from the NCERT. It's not, we don't have that much time anymore. Go to the short notes. Make sure that you, from the hydrocarbons, make sure that you understand the reagents. Now, which all reagents are most important? Mostly the most important portions of the reagent part is definitely the Markovnikov rules. Markovnikov rule and its reagents. And after that, you need to go through the ozonolysis reactions. Ozonolysis, then definitely go through the go to the alkyne part over there. Okay, by the way, in between you have the conformers. Go through the conformers. Conformer means all those Newman projections. Okay, like the eclipse structure, like the staggered structure. Okay, go through them once, and then go to the alkyne portion. In the alkyne portion, you have acetylene formation and its reaction. Go through all the reactions. This part is very important. The acetylene part, the alkyne part is very important. Go through those portions from the hydrocarbon chapter, right? And the ozonolysis, Markovnikov rules, these are also important. So guys, if I talk about this chapter, okay, one more thing I forgot to tell you about the water addition. So water addition in alkene, addition in alkene and alkyne. So what am I talking about over here? So guys, in alkynes, if I start with acetylene molecule, over there, if you give Hg2 plus and H plus, it would become CH3CHO. This reaction is very important. Okay, now why is it happening? How is it happening? Just go through that part from the NCERT. And definitely, apart from this, go through the water addition in alkenes as well. Okay, CH2 double bond CH2. If you add water in here, you are not going to add water straight away. You need dilute H2SO4. And there is the Markovnikov rules also present in there. So this part, the water addition part, and the physical property. The physical property, although we overlook them, we have seen questions coming in JE from there. So JE and NEET, they have something in similarity. The type of questions, they keep them similar. So guys, if you just go through the JE papers, you would be having an idea about the NEET as well. So go through the physical properties of everything. Which one is soluble, which one is not, why is it soluble and all. This type of thing, the physical properties. Okay, these are the things you need to go through, the physical properties. Okay, from the entire hydrocarbon chapters, right? Now, if I talk about the GOC, you have to focus mainly on the nomenclature part. Okay, the nomenclature part, and you have to focus on the resonance and those finding out the basicity, acidity type of questions. Like, let me give you an example of it. So let's say you have phenol and you have a normal alcohol. Which one is more acidic? If they ask you this question, then what would happen? Like, you have to make the conjugate basis, right? We have taught you in the class in this way. You have to make the conjugate basis in both the case. Now you see which conjugate base is more stable. As you can see, it is undergoing resonance through the benzene ring. This conjugate base is more stable, and there is no such stability for this anion. So that's why phenol would be more acidic than normal alcohol. Okay, so these type of questions you can rely on, the acidity related questions, the pK. No, they won't ask you which one is more acidic or all. What would they do? They would say which one is having higher pKa. Now there are many students, those who are struggling with this pKa portion. They are confused about it. Now just try to understand this pKa. What is this? So this is the negative logarithm of Ka. How would you remember that? So guys, you have heard about pH. What is this? Negative logarithm of H plus concentration or H2 plus concentration. So pKa would be negative logarithm of Ka. Now what is Ka? What is acid dissociation constant? So let's say I have an acid that is in presence of water. The acid in presence of water, what happens is it is breaking into A minus and H2 plus. Okay, now what would be the rate constant here? The constant would be A minus product concentration by the reactant concentration, isn't it? Right, this would be the thing. Now see, if Ka is high, if they say Ka is high, means can I say the products are high? The concentration of the products, this is high. Can I say that? Definitely. So the products are high. These are high. If the products are high, that means the acid is dissociating more. If that acid is dissociating more, that is when the products are high, isn't it? Common sense, right? So as the products are high, that means the dissociation is more. So if the dissociation is more, then the acid is a strong acid. Always remember one thing, guys, whenever you are stuck with a concept, go to the basics. Okay, keep it simple, go to the basics. Remember one thing, you know everything. Don't even think that, okay, this question is given there, I don't know anything about the question. Don't give up right away. So if you feel like you are done with all the questions and now you have a plenty of time, you just sit with those questions and you just try to understand the concept, whatever they're trying to say with them. Okay. Any which ways. So Ka is the strong acid. So when you have Ka as Ka high, that means the acid is stronger. The acid is strong, right, guys? So, but what about pK? Now, pKa, I have already told you, pKa means is negative logarithm of K. That means when K is high, the negative value would be low. Now, if I say 3 and 4, which one is higher value? 4 is higher value. Now, if I write -3 and -4, which one is higher value? Did you get that? -3 is higher value. So when you put a negative sign, that becomes low. So see, the point is, if the K is high, then the pKa would be low right away. So what is the entire concept that I have told you so far? So you start with the strong acid. So if the acid is strong, for acids, this is Ka. For bases, it is Kb. Same thing. So if it is K, this is strong, then Ka or Kb for the bases, both of them would be high. If both of them are high, then pKa or pKb, both of them would be low. Now, guys, don't get confused. What I'm saying, the strong acid or base. So whatever I'm writing after or, that is something I'm writing for the bases. So for the acids, whenever the acids have higher Ka, the pKa would be lower. Then that means that's a strong acid. For the bases, whenever we have higher Kb, that means the pKa would be lower. So which means, guys, now just note it down, the last statement. For the strong acid, pKa would be low. For the strong base, pKb would be low. If they say K, for the strong acid, Ka would be high, and for the strong bases, Kb would be high. So this is how we do this. Now, these type of Ka, pKa questions, you would expect that they would come, okay, from DOC. Okay. Now coming to the next topic of chemistry, which is of 11th chemistry, which is definitely going to be equilibrium. Now, guys, don't panic about this chapter. There are many of you, I do know that you guys don't like this chapter because this chapter has a lot of formulas out there, but don't panic about this. Right now, what are you going to do? Let's say you haven't studied the entire chapter, you are so afraid of it, you haven't gone through it, or you have gone through it, but you are afraid of it right now. So now what would you do? So now your target would be just learning 4 formulas which is out there. 4 formulas, they are out there. So first is the formula of acid dissociation. So acid dissociation, remember that part where you have Ka equals to alpha square C, this formula. Okay, from how you are getting alpha and all that part, you just go through that part, right? Now, if you go to the next point, after this, you go for the hydrolysis of salt. Hydrolysis of the salts. Just learn these 4 formulas. I'm talking about ionic equilibrium. Chemical equilibrium is easy, right? Chemical equilibrium is easy. You can go through that. Ionic equilibrium is the one which is the difficult part in here. So over there, what you have to do is, now you go to the hydrolysis of the salts, right? So in the hydrolysis of salts, you have those formulas in there for hydrolysis of salts. So as you can see, that pH, those formulas you remember for, let's say, for weak acid, strong base, strong acid, weak base, weak acid, weak base, those questions. Okay, so that half of pKw minus pK plus pKb. What is this for? Weak acid, weak base. If I talk about weak acid or weak base, any of it separately, so that would be half log C in present in there. So just go through these particular formulas. Okay, pKw minus pK plus half log C for the acids. Acid means, what I mean to say is, when the acid is weak, weak acid, strong base, strong acid, weak base. You do understand what am I talking about? So go through those formulas, right? So those 4 formulas, those are there. 3 formulas, those are there. Go through them. Then comes, after that, you come to the buffer solution, Henderson's equation, the buffer. Okay, so that pH equals to pK plus half plus log concentration of solved by acid. This equation. Okay. And for the bases, it would be solved by the bases. Go through this equation. Okay. And how to solve these questions. Like take 1 hour, one of this equation and solve, and 2 to 3 questions, go through them. Then again, another equation, go through the question. And the fourth one would be the case with the solubility product questions. Okay. So just go through these 4 things and you'll be done with it. Now, guys, the next topic that you have to go through is after that is definitely chemical bonding. Okay. Now, guys, in JEE, if you go through that, in JEE, there was a tendency in each and every shift that they asked question from the Fajans rule. So definitely, guys, go through the Fajans rule. Okay. Go through the Fajans rule. What is this? You'll be able to find it. Periodic property as well. From there, as well, you'll be getting the Fajans rule concepts, and for chemical bonding as well, you'll be getting the Fajans rule. Okay. So none of the ionic compounds are 100% ionic, right? They have some sort of covalency in there. So that part you just go through it. Okay. Now next would be definitely the VACPR part. Okay. So the structure determination, go to that, the VACPR. Okay, the structure determining part. And the third thing would definitely be go to the MOT, molecular orbital theory diagram. Guys, before when you have 14 electrons, then the diagram was like this, right? This was the molecular orbital diagram. When you have more than 14, then the diagram would be the sigma would be coming, changing the position with the pi. This concept, you just remember this concept, and from there they will be asking you questions. Okay, if they ask you questions from the molecular orbital theory, what type of questions are going to be there? Like paramagnetic, diamagnetic, bond order, these type of questions would be there, right? So practice those questions a bit and go through the dipole moment part of it. Okay, the dipole moment part is very important with respect, not only with respect to chemical bonding, but you know there are other organic chapters like haloalkene, haloarenes, and the nitrogen, like the nitrogen compounds, and the aldehyde ketone carboxylic acid. There as well, you have seen that in the physical properties they have talked about the dipole moments related questions, right? So those questions are also going to be covered, and as well as in GOC as well, they sometimes ask you dipole moment related questions. So go through these portions of it, the dipole moment class. So chemical bonding is also another very important chapter from class 11. So right now, just go to these portions I'm talking about right now. Okay, don't need to look here and there. Just go to the portions I have told you. Okay, these are the 4 portions. I guess that would be covering up everything: the Jan's rule, VACPR, MOT, and the dipole moment related questions. Okay, this would be clearing out most of the thing. That is one concept that you learn in chemical bonding. Use it in P block. That is called back bonding. Guys, if you can, you just go through this concept once. The back bonding concept was like this: when you have BF3 molecule, it is not a Lewis acid. BCl3, BBr3, Bi3, they are Lewis acids. This concept is there in P block. So now why is that? Actually, what happens is the B orbital, the B has a P orbital, vacant P orbital. So for boron, that make the electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p1, right? This is the electronic configuration. So as you can see, in 2s2, 2p1, we have 2 electrons over here, and 2p1 we have electron over there, right? Let me just check how the streaming is going on. Yes, so everything is fine. So as I was saying, so this is 2s2, 2p1. Now over here, you can see there are, if I unpair this thing, could be like this. Now in here, what happens is this is one sigma bond for one fluorine, this is another sigma bond for another fluorine, this is another sigma for another fluorine, right? Now there will be a vacant orbital, vacant p orbital, and now this p orbital is this one. You can call it pz for a time. So this pz orbital is vacant for BCl3, for BBr3, for Bi3, for all 3 of them. It is vacant, but not for BF3, because fluorine, it goes for back bond. Okay, fluorine, it gives this lone pair, and it makes a bond with this vacant p orbital like this. It donates a lone pair and it just fills this up. So there's a partial double bonded character in BF bond, and that can be done with all these three fluorines. So that's why there's a partial double bond in all of them, in all these bonds. So that's why the bond order is 1.5 in BF3. So that's why we can say that it is not a Lewis acid anymore. So it doesn't have a vacant orbital. BF3. This concept is there actually in the P block, but you can see that we can just find it out better in the chemical bonding portion, right? So these are the things I have to go through. And guys, just give it a reading, the hydrogen bonding. The hydrogen bonding portion, just give it a reading. Okay, so that was the thing about the chemical bonding chapter. Now, after that, okay, GOC, hydrocarbons, chemical bonding, equilibrium, we are done with the most of them. Guys, after that, once you're done with this, now you go through the environmental chemistry ones. Okay, see, the point is, although we know that this chapter is not that important, but there is going to be one question from there for sure, right? In JE as well, they were giving those questions. So what you have to understand is, why leave those questions behind? Because the chapter is very simple. Look, those acid rains, those stone cancer, those things are there. We have been reading them from the class, no, I don't know, environmental sciences in class, I guess, 7th or 8th. From there, we are learning. Okay, I do remember that I have started learning about them from 8th or 9th, something like that, environmental sciences. So this is very simple. Over there, you just secondary pollutant, primary pollutant, just do them once. Because 1 4 marker is also very important for you, right? You don't just leave them right away. I do know that there are some students who have a tendency to leave these type of first chapters. Don't leave them behind. These are the chapters you can do in the last moment, because there cannot be any conceptual mistakes in there. So right now, if you have time, if you feel like you have 5 topics left and you have environmental chemistry left, I would suggest you go for environmental chemistry. You have a sure shot 4 marks waiting for you, and there is no conceptual mistake that you can make from this chapter. It's a memorizing chapter. So these are the basic idea that you should have when you are going for exams like this, right? Now, that was, I guess, am I missing anything out? The S block, P block, see guys, that part is definitely important, but this is a very huge portion. So if you have gone through them previously, then they would be helpful. But right now, if you start learning them, then that definitely I would suggest you that would be very difficult for you to go through them. If you are from askIITians, then definitely, guys, what you have to do is you have to go to our website. Over there, again, I would say there are short notes made for you, right? Go to the self-study packages. In the self-study packages, you have all the short notes made for each and every chapter. Go through the short notes for the time being. In there, you have all the questions. Those are needed. Those are important. Go through those questions and you'll be good to go for this. Because what the questions that we give in the askIITians website and the askIITians accounts, we are giving them analyzing the NEET papers, the last year papers or this year paper, whatever we feel like that could come. We make the short note in that way only. It's not like it is there for years. We have to make the short notes every year in the beginning. Like after your NEET would be over, we'd be starting to make those short notes and what type of questions that we can expect. Looking at this pattern, what type of questions can we expect in the next year? And definitely, guys, we are spending hours for that. Okay, so what I want you to do is just make that useful for you. This is gonna be very much useful for you. Just go through them once if you have some time right now. Okay. Now the point is that will be the S block and the P block portion. And what else from class 11? Organic is covered. The chemical bonding, states of matter. The states of matter. If we talk about that chapter is going to be very, very simple. In there, you just do one thing. Okay, you just go through the velocity parts, the RMS velocity, the average velocity, the all those most probable velocity, that curve and those parts. Okay, definitely go to the real gas equation, this equation and questions related to this. Okay, Charles law, Boyle's law questions, this question, this equation, the density, finding out the density PM by RT, In JEE, they ask you questions from there. So definitely we can expect these type of questions coming in again, right? And these 4 equations. What else do you need? Yeah, the compressibility factor, Z, PV by RT. The compressibility factor related question, and definitely guys, go through the Amagas curve. This the curve. Remember pressure versus temperature curve, Amagas curve. So go through that curve as well. Okay, these are all the important things that you can go through. Then you can go with the states of matter. Charles Lava as well is there. Yeah. Apart from that, I guess everything would be fine. Yeah. One more thing. Go through the forces. Dipole, induced dipole at the very beginning of the chapter. You'd be able to see those parts. Go to that part. Okay, that would be important as well. Now, after all these things are done, now I think you'll be able to leave the class 11. Definitely, guys, periodic property is there. Atomic structure is there, and definitely hydrogen is there. Redox is there. These chapters are there. So, guys, you do understand redox chapter is nothing but a connecting chapter with the inorganic chemistry. So, if you want to go to inorganic chemistry without redox, you cannot go there. So, you don't have to separately learn the redox chapter. When you're learning the inorganic chemistry, definitely you need redox. So, definitely you have gone through it once. Atomic structure, if you go talk about that, you just have to go to the hydrogen spectra. That part, the energy, the velocity, the radius, those equations and the questions related to that, and definitely go through the drawbacks of it. Okay, what are the drawbacks of the Bohr's model? What are the drawbacks of the Rutherford's model? These 2 things. Okay. Apart from that, you go through the transition part. The transition, like Lyman series, Palmer series, Platinum series, those series parts. How to calculate this? What is the Lyman H alpha line? What is the lambda of Lyman H alpha line? What is the lambda of beta H beta line for Palmer series or Passion series? These type of questions also they are very famous. They were there in till 2017. In 2018, we haven't seen those type of questions. Not much in 2019 as well. But guys, we are expecting those type of questions in this year. At least one question would be there from atomic structure. And periodic properties, we cannot expect a question from periodic properties right away, but the questions for periodic properties would be coming in terms of the S block or the P block, right? All those ionization energy trends and the DNA block as well, guys. I'm coming to the class 12 portion. So all these trends are important. Okay. Now coming to the class 12 portions. In class 12, guys, remember the chapters they have eliminated from CBSE. That is the chapters NEET would be putting forward pressures on, because most of the students would not be going through them. So first is go through those chapters. Those are deleted. So isolation, go through that chapter. Then we have polymer. These are all rectification chapter. You have to just go through them. Polymer. Then we have chemistry in everyday life. Okay. If you haven't gone through them at all, again, go to our short notes, go to our short videos. Right now, you don't have to go to the short videos, go to the short notes or the mind maps that is already there in your accounts. Okay. And if you're not from askIITians right now, what you have to do is you can just make short notes of them. Okay. You can find them in the internet, but definitely, if you find it from the internet, that won't be that much of high quality. But definitely, guys, right now, what you can do is you can make these short notes on your own real quick. Again, you are not going to make any conceptual errors from this chapters. So you can right now, you can start going to these chapters if you feel like, you have time, right? If you do not have time, it would not be worth it. So right now, what you have to do is your focus should only be in these type of chapters. Now, the isolation, polymer, chemistry in everyday life, all the drugs, those are there in everyday life. Polymer, over there, the monomers and the uses of the polymers. Okay. And they can ask you questions like, which one of the following is a thermosetting polymer? Which one of the following is a condensed polymer? Or they can ask you which one is a chain polymer. Okay. They can ask you the questions like, what is the monomer of buna N or buna S? Right. Saccharyl and 1,3-butadiene. They can ask you question from what is the monomer of PHBV. Okay. These type of questions you have to be prepared for. And sometimes they ask you questions like this as well. What they do is they give you two monomers and they ask you to find out the polymer. Like let's say they would give you they'll give you something like NH2, CO, NH2. This is urea, and with that they have given you CH2O. What is this molecule? This is the monomers of urea formaldehyde, right? Urea formaldehyde. So when they react together, you just take out H2O. Just take out H2. Okay, N-methyl urea is the monomer of it. Together, like when you copolymer, right? This is a copolymer. So these type of questions would be there. So in the NCERT, open this up and see how the polymerization is happening. You know, that is one type of question they would ask you. They would ask you like this from here. They can ask you these questions. They can ask you like, they would give you, let's say, they can ask you about the catalysts. Now, you might not have gone through the catalysts of every reaction. It's not possible, right? So you can use your brain over there. Right. See, they would ask you, let's say, peroxide catalyst. Peroxide catalyst. Where do we use this catalyst? In which type of polymerization do we use this catalyst? And let's say they have given you 4 options. In one of them, you have PVC. In one of them, you have Teflon. Let's say you have bakelite. And you have melamine. These are the 4 things. Now, you know that peroxide catalyst is needed for the peroxide mechanism, for the radical mechanism. Peroxide is needed for the radical mechanism. Where have you learned this? Anti-Marconi organism, right? There you have learned this. So we need them for the radical mechanism. Now, guys, what happens is when you talk about the Teflon, this Teflon is nothing but polytetrafluoroethylene. Polytetrafluoroethylene. This is what Teflon is, right? Now, do you remember all these type of polymerization happens via radical mechanism? This is right there in the very beginning of your polymerization chapter. Okay, polymer chapter, right in the beginning, you'll be able to see this thing. So you just go through them. Okay, and they can give you this question as well. Which one of the following is coming? The catalyst is Ziegler-Natta catalyst. Ziegler-Natta catalyst. Okay, Ziegler-Natta. What do we use that? So the answer is going to be to make polythene. Polythene. We take Ziegler-Natta catalyst. So these portions are very, very important. Apart from that, guys, definitely in class 12 chemistry, the organic portions over there, you just go through the conversions real quick and the physical property again. Now, why am I putting so much pressure on the physical properties? Guys, this is the new type of question that we can see right now. From the physical properties, from the boiling point, from the melting point, from the solubility, these are the questions, those are very much coming in NEET right now. So, and JE as well. So that's why you should go with these portions a bit. And the physical property, if I talk about them in details a bit, go to the nitrogens. Nitrogen compound, go to their physical property. Why? The solubility trend, do you remember? 3 degree, 2 degree, 1 degree, that is not the exact solubility trend there. It comes like the 2 degree comes first for the aqueous medium, right? For 2 degree, I mean, they have the most solubility, basicity. These type of questions that have to put for organic chemistry. And definitely, guys, after that, once you're done with the organic chemistry, go through the DNF block. DNF block. DNF block is a small chapter. Go through them in details. There is nothing to segregate there. Go through them in details. DNF block and as well as P blocks. Guys, both the inorganic chapter, you have to read line by line. There is nothing that you can do about them. You have to just learn them line by line. If any teacher is telling you that they can make short notes, they can make suggestions for these chapters, it cannot happen. If they make suggestions, they will be giving you everything in the form of their notes. Okay, so for this inorganic chapter, you have to go through them in details. Okay, that's the only way out. Electrochemistry, kinetics, and surface chemistry, we have already talked about that. So electrochemistry and kinetics, from there you would be getting one question each. So for kinetics, go through the first order kinetics equation. like the rate law and the rate equations there. And for the electrochemistry, Nernst equation a bit, Faraday's law of electrolysis, that part a bit, and the reduction potential, oxidation potential type of questions. These would be the major portions, major pocket regions from class 12 and from class 11 that you have to go through before NEET comes. So that is how you are supposed to utilize these 2 days now, guys. Again, I guess you have gone through the strategy part that I have told you. Analyze it, think about this, and decide on your own what should be your strategy. And always, guys, go for the quality. Don't go for the quantity. If you go for that, you'd be getting negative marks. That is not something we want right now, right? So make proper strategy and go to these portions, and you would definitely ace in this exam. So, guys, that would be it for today's uh, discussion. And definitely, we'd be able to see you. We'd be making this analysis of the NEET paper as well right after the exam, and we would definitely see you there. So that would be it for today, guys. Bye, and stay connected to us as well. Okay.